Hello Lolas, welcome back to my channel guys. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell to be a part of the notification squad. Today I'm here with Livy and I want to talk to you guys about budget babies. So listen, I see that going up a lot. I'll see like posts saying I have a budget baby for sale. I'm going to have budget babies ready for the holidays, etc, etc. And also I get messages where people ask me, will I be having any budget babies available? And so I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about budget babies? So here's where I'm at with them. Okay, so number one, before you answer if you want a budget baby, we need to define what a budget baby is. So I feel like the definition changes per artist. Or per collector, what they think interpret a budget baby may be. I think it needs to be very clear when you buy a budget baby what you're actually getting. So this is my thing. I asked several people, you know, do you really want a budget baby from one of your favorite artists? Maybe an artist that, or maybe an artist that you really like but haven't been able to afford their work, and you want, you know, some of their work. So you want a budget baby, you know, something that's, you know, budget friendly. Let's say for instance, maybe, you know, you can't afford their full bodies or you can't afford their prototype work, but maybe they charge less money for, if it's silicone, you know, maybe partials or their cuddles, or maybe with reborns, you know, the babies that's not prototypes. Then there are some artists that actually do have a thing called budget babies. Now, some artists call their budget babies where they take off a few $100s or whatever, because they'll send the baby, like, let's say in just a onesie and a blanket. No box opening, no binkies, no nothing, just the painted doll itself. Some people even, which I never really fully understood this, but to each his own, and I'm up for doing it, or not doing it, but buying one. Cause see, I'm a collector first and then artist second. So some stuff I'm gonna take advantage of. If I feel like it's an advantage for me in my pockets, I'm gonna take advantage of it. But it just might not be something I might not incorporate in my personal business plan, if we can say it like that. So some people will say, you know, I'll paint the kit, you know, you would have to assemble it, you would have to do the weighting, and I get it. All that stuff takes time. It is extra money. It's, you know, you got to put it together, you got to this, you got that. A lot of times collectors take them apart anyway and reweight them and all that stuff. So yeah, you know, I can understand that. It's not something that I prefer to do, because I actually, for the most part, when it comes to my reborns, I enjoy, you know, weighting them and putting them together so I can take my own pictures and all that stuff before the baby leave. But I can understand you know, people that do that because they don't want to be bothered, and it saves the customer money. Some people, and then you get their same paint work, just a little off for not having it assembled or no box opening. And the artists save on shipping. They don't have to do all this extravagant packing. So it also depends on the artist too, because some artists do elaborate box opening, so that could save them lots of money actually, if I be honest. So there's that. Some artists call budget babies, and this is where it gets tricky. Some budget babies are just like basically skin tone, a little blush here and there, and boom, that's it. You're not getting the full detail of that artist's work. Like artists do like veining and mottling and capillaries and bruising and all this stuff. That's not what you're going to get on a budget baby. You're going to get mostly like the traditional basic skin tone. Even with that can be a little tricky. Sometimes you might not get their more complex skin tones, if that makes sense. But you still can get, let's say if they're a high quality or high end artist, you may get beautiful skin tone. You can see the neatness of their work. You can see the quality of their, you know, paint style somewhat. You know what I mean? You still won't know the full depth of things. So, but like I said, you get to experience her work. Now, if you're looking at someone like, okay, and that's why I brought Livy on today. Livy is the Gabby Gale sculpt by Claire Taylor. And she was done as a no frills baby, basically. Is I think that's how she had titled it years ago when the Gabby Gales came out. Now this is the silicone. Is a vinyl too. So when she said that, you know, everybody jumped on and they were like, they sold for like $2,500 back then. Now the first parts of the ones that came out, I think, were maybe a little more like the no frills. They were more peaches and cream. And when I say peaches and cream, just mean like it's not like extremely extra, you know, a whole lot of detail like how her traditional work was. However, at the time, they were still like, and probably still to this day, they were still like most beautiful babies, like painted, like I said, they probably was still like better than most than what was out there on the market that people were charging their full price for. And I say that not to belittle no one, but you know, just to say, I'm just being honest in my opinion. So when you coming from, you know, an artist of her level, getting a budget baby, that's like, you know, a win. However, there were times where people would come and say, after they get like the Gabby Gale or whatever, they'd be like, well, her work is, you know, it's nice, but it ain't all that. Or they would say, the silicone, there's nothing feels special about silicone. Like, it's not the same. I'm like, first of all, you're not going to get her 6,000. At that time her dolls were like 6,000, 7,000. You're not going to get a $7,000, $8,000 doll for $2,500. This lady is not going to sit here and go overboard on something that she's making like 1/4 of what she's accustomed to making. And me personally, I feel like partials is more work than full bodies. So, you know, people were judging her off of that, just like with her kits. Sometimes people will be like, oh, you know, they get the silicone kits and they would be like, well, I mean, she has nice silicone, but it's nothing fancy about it. Well, it's not the same. So I think sometimes the budget thing can be good for those who understand it and those who, you know, really want it and know what they're getting before they buy it. But for people that's under false pretense thinking they're going to get the same work as someone, you know, regular price babies, it can be a bit tricky, and it also can be a little, I'm not going to say damaging, because people go have their fans and their followers regardless, but it can get a little crazy. It's just like when people sell boo-boo babies and, you know, the collector doesn't disclose it to the next buyer that they got it at a, you know, a cheaper cost because it wasn't the artist's best work. You know what I mean? So then there goes this narrative out there that this artist's work is subpar and not all that, because they're thinking this is their typical work when that wasn't the case. And so in any case, that's why I say you need to be very clear. I remember one time it was a big fallout in the community at one point with an artist and a collector, because they bought a budget baby, and when they got the babies, they was like, this doesn't even look like their work. Like, I don't want this, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, and then the artist, you know, comeback was this was a budget baby, budget friendly, and so in order to make it budget friendly, I don't put as much into it as I do my other babies. And it just got really ugly and stuff like that. But it's like, so you gotta ask the artist, because some artists actually do budget babies and it's their, like I said, it's their normal work, just you're not getting the big box opening. Or maybe they do like a special, something special, a little feature, or you know, add on to their babies, and they don't do it to the budget baby, but you still get to see the nice paint work. Or you know, or maybe the budget babies, they're not rooted, or they're not rooted mono rooted, maybe they're just micro rooted. You know, it's like little things, but you need to ask these questions up front, instead of just seeing budget baby and thinking, oh, cheaper, and go running for it because it's an artist you've wanted work from. You need to know, well, okay, it's budget because why? Or what are you offering for, you know, budget customs or whatever, you know, people do as far as that. But so yeah, so you just, it can be a really great thing, but it can also leave room for, you know, disappointment if you're not knowing what you're getting when you're getting it. So yeah. Which is, I mean, it goes into another thing that I wanted to talk about at a later date, is, you know, being upfront and disclosing, so that protects you for the most part from buyer's remorse. Because usually if a person is able to make a fully informed decision, they're, you know, they kind of have an idea of what to expect when they get it, and they're not as bummed out about it when it arrives. And so, but if you know, paint this big picture, this fancy picture, and then they get something totally different, they're going to regret the purchase. And so I don't think that's what people want, especially if you're going to be selling regularly. You don't want people to be, you know, feeling upset. Now, there's no way to 100% prevent a customer for not liking a baby once they get it. Or, you know, I mean, at some point, everybody's going to have an unhappy customer. That's just the reality of the world. If life was perfect, I mean, none of us would be here, I guess, probably. But anyway, so yeah, I just thought I would ask you guys, like, you know, what's your idea of a budget baby, and would you want a budget baby if it was just a sample of the artist's work, a watered down version? For me, I particularly don't care to buy budget babies from my favorite artists. If it's someone that I just I really like the sculpt, and it's a good price, and it look like it's decently painted, I might buy a budget baby. But for me, for the most part, if I want an artist's work because I'm in love with their work, I rather pay the price so that I can actually get to see their full work. I don't want to see something else, because it's still not gonna answer. It's not gonna cure my curiosity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna still be left with this desire to have their full work. So I might as well just buy one doll instead of buying 2 or 3 to get to that. I want, you know, if I love the way they model, or I love the way they do certain details, I want that. I want that. I don't want anything else. But that's just me. Sometime with babies, skin tone carry a baby everywhere. Like right now, I'm looking at the camera and looking at her. I don't feel like you guys can see her, any of her details. You just see skin tone, and she still looks good, in my opinion. But she actually do have mottling. She does have veining, and she came in the end of the Gabby Gales, and I personally feel like, and have always felt like, the Gabby Gales at the end ended up having even more so like details and stuff like that. But don't get me wrong, my Lizzie that I had was absolutely stunning. And she was, like I said, she was peaches and cream when it comes to, and I say peaches and cream because I've had Claire Taylor's work across the board. And so I know what her work looks like when she goes all in. And I say, it's not that she didn't put her best in or nothing like that. I say that was peaches and cream, because I'll call babies peaches and cream that I paint, where I don't do a lot of the, you know, little tedious things to them, but they're still very detailed and realistic. So yeah, just to make that clear. But this one is, you know, she's, you know, detailed and stuff. But I've seen some of the other ones that came later on that was like, oh my God, they were painted like her dolls. So anyway, some people really looked up, especially that very last one. I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, who got that one? But anyway, that's that. And I just, you know, like I said, it was just a conversation to have. I hope you guys enjoyed this chat. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, be safe, be good, be positive, good vibes only.